Of course, most of my followers are Android developers. And since I had this topic recently, do you think Flutter or any other cross-platform framework is the future of Android in comparison to, or is it better than native? And you also told me once in the Instagram DMs that you think that web is the future, that web will actually replace native apps. Is that something you still think of?
I don't think web will, well, let me rephrase that then. I don't want to confuse anyone. I don't think web's going to replace all native apps. There's still going to be the need for native apps. Things like maps. I don't know if maybe one day that'll be web. I don't know. But right now, and the way it is I don't see that moving off of a native app for a long time. There's a lot of integration points into the native ecosystem that are very useful. Notifications, things like that. There's media players, video, YouTube, stuff like that. Those are going to remain, video games, those are all going to remain native. Now, do I think that, and I'll come back to the web thing in a second. Do I think that Flutter or some other framework is going to replace native? I don't think it's going to replace. I think it's an alternative. And there are certain times to use it, and there are certain times that you shouldn't use it. And it really depends upon the use case. I don't think you can say, hey, I'm going to write every single thing in Flutter. However, for me, if I'm going to be building a forms over data application and I need a Android and an iOS client, and this is the big caveat, it's an and. If I need both clients and I have not written a line of code for either yet, immediately, if I don't need media playback, if I don't need deep system integration, for me, I'm going to lean on Flutter. Now, a lot of people are like, well, that's, you can use Kotlin multi-platform. Yeah, you can do that too. If that's what you want to use that. For me, I'll use Flutter simply because I just have to write it once. I don't have to hop into Xcode. Except for one tiny thing. I don't have to hop into Android Studio except for one thing. I can write it in Android Studio or VS Code or whatever. But for me, I'll use Flutter for a lot of stuff. That doesn't mean it's going to replace native at all. I think that native is going to be around for a very long time. It's going to be very viable, especially with things like Jetpack Compose and so forth. It's just I think we're going to see many more decisions being made, especially by companies, because companies are tired of spending the costs for two different teams. Almost all of the larger clients I've been to, they have an iOS team and an Android team, and we write the same exact thing in two different languages. And I'm not the only one who sees this. It's the managers see this, the VPs see this. They see this at the bottom line, like we are writing the same app twice. They're building design systems, so all right, all the buttons should be blue with a, 3 pixel border radius on iOS and Android. So when you look at each app on both platforms, it looks exactly the same. So we're writing the same app twice in two different languages. And so for me, Flutter allows me to just kind of do that once. And so I'll use that a lot of the time. Now, again, you have to understand the people's ego investments into why they're recommending that. Again, I'm a freelancer, I'm a consultant. So for me, it's providing a product to the client to solve their needs at that given time. That might be getting a product out to test the market. And a lot of the times that's what I do. I build something to test the market. If the market responds to it and the market sees value into it and it starts making money, at that point in time, they may decide, hey, we need to add all these features that require us to be native, and we might need to rewrite it in iOS or Android native or whatever. That might be what they have to do. And that's a situation they'll handle in the future. And I let them know of that in advance. Now, someone else who is just a native developer, who's only worked in Android, and that's their, that's where they spend all of their time. They may be completely vehemently against Flutter because they do not see the reason for it whatsoever, because they just do everything native. Okay, that's fine for them. That's their ego investment that they have into the platform. So no, it's not going to replace it. It'll augment it. Just depends on the situation. Now, will web win? I still feel that the web is going to win eventually. The web is just it's a beast of interconnectivity. And I just think what we're going to see, and we're continually going to see this, is the networks are going to get faster. These devices in our hands are going to get faster. They always do. They're going to get more and more powerful. And what happens when things get more and more powerful? we can do crazy things in the web. 10, 15 years ago, if you told me that you would have a Photoshop-like or Adobe Illustrator-like experience in the browser, like Figma or any of these other ones, like I would have told you you're crazy. But no, now we're doing it. Like I don't even need to have a lot of these vector tools installed. I just go to a website. So basically what I'm saying is the web is getting more and more powerful. The technology is advancing. And what we're going to eventually see, in my opinion, this is my prediction, is we're going to see more native hooks into the system. Eventually, we're going to be able to publish notifications from a website. I mean, we could kind of already do it on the browser, but we're going to have deep system level native integration from a website. We're going to have more sensor integration where we can just talk to the sensors. There's going to be more standards that are created. And eventually, we'll be able to write as much of the stuff in the web as we want, but there'll still be a case for native because there is a lot of stuff that just needs to be written that's very close to the metal, and native's not going to go anywhere, just like C isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, I also use a tool since a few days called veed.io, veed.io, which is also basically a video editor that works completely in the browser. It's pretty impressive. But of course, there's always still some level of clunkiness to it as compared to a real native app. And the question maybe is if this will ever be able to really be overcome, this clunkiness compared to a real platform app.
Hard to say if it's going to be,
Time will tell.
Yeah, it's really hard time to tell. If you go back to, I mean, when I started in the web, the first time I hopped on the web was 1997. And that was, I could never imagine the stuff that we're doing in the web now. We are in the browser here in Chrome recording this podcast in a video format, high fidelity audio streaming over the web, talking to each other. You're in Germany, I'm in New Jersey. Like 97, I would have that didn't even cross anyone's mind. Like that was impossible. Back then, paying for something online was impossible. So is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. When? Who knows? I just feel eventually we're going to get there.
Yeah. Okay. But it's no reason for people to stop learning native right now.
Absolutely not. No, keep learning. Like if you're doing native, you like Android, keep doing Android. If you like iOS, keep doing iOS. I always tell people this all the time. They say, Donn, what should I learn right now? What's the new hot thing? And I like, you know what? Just do what interests you. Like if you're really interested in Android, then go learn Android. If you're really interested in Kubernetes and like you love that networking stuff, then go learn Kubernetes. Like if you're interested in programming car stereos at Tesla at the C-level language, then go do that. Like there is so much opportunity in tech. We can't find enough people to fill the jobs. So just go learn and do what you want to do and have fun with it.
Yeah, and if you build programming skills, then you can usually take them over to a different product or different framework without starting from scratch again. So people should not be so afraid of wasting time because they are not wasting time as long as they are learning. And I also want people to know that I'm not hostile against Flutter. It's just that I have ignored it completely so far. Because on my YouTube channel, I focused on native Android and I wanted to put all my time into this. And I don't have an opinion about Flutter at all personally because I have never tried it out. Maybe I would like it.